thank you guys for joining us for another episode of the Sit Down with Malik Wright, presented by First Star Logistics. We're live from the First Star Logistics studio here in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm joined, as always, by my co-hosts. We've got Evan McPhillips. We've got Jules in the building. And we've got some people watching us live from the studio. As always, if you guys could do us a huge favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and if you haven't done so already, turn on the post notifications. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of stuff to get into, specifically my Boston Celtics and how they're performing, or should I say underperforming or underwhelmingly performing. I also want to talk about the way we throw out stars and how we say this player is a star, that player is a star, but in the brightest moment, that star goes missing. I also want to talk about Andrew Luck, right? There's rumors, there's murmurs out there that the Washington Commanders have made contact with Andrew Luck about a potential return to the NFL. And Jim Irsay, as he does every single night, likes to go on rants and tweets, and he seems to be not so happy about it. But as always, before we get into that, give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and let's get into it. Guys, the Boston Celtics. I have a lot of thoughts on how Boston is performing right now. But before I get into my long, passionate rant, as only Malik Wright could do, Jules.
I already knew you were gonna say something to me
Jules.
directly. The way you kept looking at me, I'm like, he's gonna say something about the Cavs.
I actually am not.
You're
Jules,
not? What am I doing?
I'm gonna let you give your thoughts
You're
on the
gonna
Boston Celtics
you're gonna
right
let me
now.
give
This is your chance to bash Malik's team, all right? Give it to him. Give it back to him.
I don't think there's that much. I don't know. I mean, they could have finished it a lot better last night, that's for sure. How do you have the ball without, was it that much time? But there's no urgency. I mean, at all. He dribbles right into Embiid and then gives it up, and there's not enough time. I'm like, how do you do that? And then how do you let James Harden, who's been really hot this series, shoot a corner three wide open? I don't understand that. That frustrates me, and I'm not even a Celtics fan. I'm like their number one hater, but And
Evan, I'm curious here what your thoughts are.
I feel like there were a lot of mistakes, right? And so we talk about this, how these couple plays in the playoffs can really define a game, a series. It can erase so much good. There was great play from Marcus Smart. There were head scratchers from Marcus Smart, like that step back three down the stretch. There's a lot of great effort plays by guys like PJ Tucker, Tobias Harris. Tatum is out there just grabbing up boards, vacuuming them up. And it just sucks that it kind of gets washed away in this sour taste that you have, right? You see the Celtics. Al Horford's playing out of his mind, man. I mean, the guy had 3 blocks in the fourth quarter and 5 in the game. He's turning back the clock. Everybody thought that Robert Williams was going to be that defensive anchor for the Celtics, but it's actually been Al Horford, and they're struggling to get those two on the court right now. I think they've played less than 20 minutes together so far this series. It's just, with that non-shooting element, it's tough. And Robert Williams has not been a good perimeter defender either. Niang got a big shot yesterday. There's a couple other opportunities where he gets kind of sucked into the paint and maybe a little bit out of position. It's really hurting them. The Celtics are not playing terribly. They are just making mistakes at crucial moments. They're playing Harden well, right? You don't want to give Harden the open threes, the step backs, right? He's not the finisher down low he was before. That was years ago. We are years removed from the Rockets' time when he was able to go to the rack, get to the free throw line. His numbers are all down there. Last night, they were trying to force him down on the pick and rolls, not give him the three, force him to drive, force him to do what he's been uncomfortable in. His first couple games, the last 2 games, he was 1 for 6 and 1 for 5 in the paint. This game, he was 8 for 11. So if Philadelphia wants to continue to put that pressure on Boston, continue to make them shift their defense and change their philosophy, Harden is going to have to turn back that clock and be that guy on the interior. He hasn't had a dunk since October, I think. Like, that's how long it's been for him. So he is playing a way different game.
Why do you know that?
I listened to really weird podcasts. That's I just people like there are other nerds out there
You're
like
a
me who just
weirdo.
love this stuff.
No,
I
you're a
am,
weirdo.
dude.
Specific.
Like
You're a
I
weirdo. I'm
absolutely
gonna tell
am.
Simone that she's dating
She
a
knows.
weirdo.
She knows. She picked me. It's fine. But yeah. So I mean, but the other thing is, it's not just the players, right? It's the coaches, because you're coming down the stretch at the end of the game, right there, right? You're down one. You're dribbling out the clock. You're sitting almost at the logo, dribbling out the clock. And the reason that's a terrible thing, I know some people are going, well, you're about to get the bucket. You put the ball in the hands of your best player and say, hey, we're going to go get a bucket. Okay, do that, but do it quicker, because here's what happens. You miss the shot. You end up losing. You say, gosh, darn. Well, at least we tried. We got a decent enough look, or maybe you didn't, right? But it all rode on that one instant in those last couple seconds when the defense is coming. I'm sure she did.
He's my weirdo.
Yeah.
Aw, hi, Simone.
Thank you, Simone. Appreciate the
Aw.
support. The big thing about that is, if you're down one like that, playing like you are tied, like you have overtime to fall back on if you end up missing the shot, you don't. And if you dribble that out and you miss that shot, you lose, right? But if you accelerate the pace and you take that shot earlier, either call a timeout as a coach and draw up a set, which did not happen, and then you dribbled the clock out. If you go faster, if you call a set, then you get that shot. And if you miss, then you can foul. And guess what? They make both. You're still down one possession. You're still down a 3. You get 2 shots to win the game or tie and push it to overtime versus just dribbling it out until you get to 5.5 seconds and then trying to force something at the end. I mean, that's not good coaching. It was not a good decision by the players as well, dribbling the ball out for that long before trying to do anything. And that's the kind of thing that that sets you back. When you have all these great performances by guys like Jason Tatum getting 18 boards, it doesn't matter, because you just weren't present in the moment and you didn't play. It's all about leverage in the playoffs, and it comes down to 1 or 2 plays. And at that point, they had to be smart. They had to take the right shots, and I don't think it ended up that way. And that's what did they lost the other game that Joel wasn't even playing, right?
Yeah.
That's you cannot. We've seen this in the past with the Celtics, right? Where they have so much talent, but when push comes to shove, they don't finish well. They don't finish right.
Yeah.
And you guys, as Celtics fans, I'm looking at you, Daniel. I'm looking at you, Malik. You guys know it as well as anybody. So I'll go ahead and pass it over to Malik and let him do his thing. I just had to talk about that coaching decision.
Before I absolutely obliterate the Boston Celtics, like obviously only I could do, let me obliterate the referees in this damn game. How many times is James Harden going to use his forearm and actively push off a Celtics defender to create space for a shot?
Like Jason Tatum did?
Yeah, I was going to say Tatum did do that.
He 100% did it. But guess what? If you're going to not call that, guess what? You can't. I mean, if you're not going to call James Harden stuff, you can't call that. James Harden,
the one on Embiid.
James Harden and Joel Embiid, in my opinion, are very skillful at getting to the line and getting free throws. That's what they're skillful at. Did you see the egregious jump into Al Horford that Joel Embiid had in the game to get critical free throw shots down the stretch there? He wasn't even actively going for the ball. I'm sorry. Listen, I understand that's the new age of basketball, to try to manipulate the game, to try to get points for your team. But guess what? That pissed me off about Trae Young's game. That pissed me off about James Harden's game. Isn't it funny, guys? Isn't it funny that as soon as they implement the new rule, right, about an offensive player initiating contact by a defender, James Harden, his offensive numbers go down drastically. That's why everybody is shocked to see James Harden putting up 42 and 45 points in a playoff game, because it's not him anymore. That's not him. And everybody talks about James Harden like, oh my God, he lost the step. No. Just James Harden is not allowed to implement his game like he used to be, like he used to do. That's why he struggles the way he's struggling right now. Guess what? If that rule was implemented much earlier on James Harden's career, we might be talking about James Harden in a different light. Now, that might be a hot take for some people, but to me, there's a whole lot of pushing, shoving, creating contact to get to the free throw line. It's egregious. It's sad. To me, I don't think that's skill. James Harden is one of the best ball handlers that we have ever seen, right? But in terms of actually, trying to, get to the cup, The guy's not trying to get to the cup. The guy's trying to initiate fouls, right? And that, to me, that pisses me off. And I think something has to be done. I know they've already tried to change the rule up, but if I'm a offensive player and I pump fake and a defender jumps up and I lean into him and just throw a shot
that
up,
shouldn't be
that
allowed.
shouldn't be allowed at all. It's bullshit. I'm sorry to say it, but that's what it
No,
is.
I agree. I've always hated James Harden's game because that's all he does.
And that's why I hate Trae Young's game too.
So-
Which credit to Trae Young. Trae Young has found new ways to change up his game, right? To be that offensive player. But you know what's funny, right? As soon as they implement that rule, now Trae Young is considered the most overrated, voted by NBA GMs and executives, the most overrated player in the NBA. I wonder why.
James Harden last full season with the Rockets, 11.8 free throws attempted, almost 12. This year down to 6. So that's the difference of the rule change. That's not a lack of aggression. That's not for lack of trying because he's still second in the NBA.
Right.
But it's a signification, like you said, of that rule change and how much it impacted his game.
He is the greatest flop player that I've ever seen in the NBA.
The old elbow.
He is the
old
greatest.
elbow flare up.
Yes, they will write rule books about the floppiness of James Harden. To me, that's not skillful. That's why I always got a lot of respect for Steph Curry. Steph Curry actually tries to hit threes. Now, he has his moments too, obviously, where he tries to manipulate, but I hate that that's such, I don't always agree with my man Kevin and my guy Mason about basketball past tense, right? Because they think Jordan's the GOAT, I think LeBron's the GOAT. But there's one thing I can agree, the lack of aggression in the NBA today, is soft. I'm sorry. Like, you slap a guy on the wrist, they're calling a foul and everything. But to me, I think that's what allows people like James Harden, people like Trae Young, damn it, I hate to say it, people like Luka Doncic to manipulate the system and make it work for them. To me, that's not skillful. It's not. You're skillful at getting to the free throw line. Now, I've ranted about the Philadelphia 76ers and my thought process on them flopping and getting to the line, but let me talk about the Boston Celtics for a second. Now, the title of today's show, is it make or break for the Boston Celtics? You're damn right it is. You got Jaylen Brown, who was on fire through 3 quarters, did nothing in the 4th quarter, did nothing in overtime. He's supposed to be another star. We keep talking about guys, and we keep talking about how this guy's a star and that guy's a star. But guess what? In the brightest moments, these quote-unquote stars are going missing. The Celtics had to rely on Malcolm Brogdon and Marcus Smart and an old aging Al Horford down the stretch. Jason Tatum went 0 for 8 in the 1st quarter. He ended the 1st half with 2 points. And then proceeded to come on live. But Jaylen Brown, the one thing they talked to Jaylen Brown in the post-game presser, he's like, well, I guess maybe I need to call for my number more. What? Not only that, but Joe Mazzulla, right? You would think Joe Mazzulla would be able to get Jaylen Brown more touches down the stretch instead of clanking up threes with Jason Tatum. Also, Jason Tatum, nice for you to finally join the party in the 3rd quarter. This game shouldn't have been as close as it was. Had Jason Tatum been knocking down his shots, the Celtics would have walked away with the loss. I'm fine. I can live with that. I'll tell you what I can't live with. I can't live with down the stretch. You pass up an open layup where guys, the 2 things are going to happen. You're either going to make the shot, the layup, right? Or you're going to get foul called. You're going to get a foul call. You're going to get a foul call that's going to go in your favor, meaning Jason Tatum goes to the free throw line. But no, he was so hesitant down the stretch that he kicked it out to Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart didn't have enough time to get the 3-point shot off. He made it. And I have another thought about that as well. I think that if you have a game-winning shot, it should be just automatically boom, bam. That's just me though. That's me because I do that in 2K every time I play it. Then I change the rules up in the offseason. But that's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is, Jason Tatum, be aggressive. You say Kobe is your role model, is a guy that you pattern your game after. Me personally, I thought Kobe was selfish. That's me. I thought Kobe was selfish. But I can appreciate the scorer's mentality, the tenacity that he played with. Now, Jason Tatum, right? In that moment, you're considered the best player on the Boston Celtics. I want to see the same flack that we give LeBron James for passing up a layup to kicking it out to Danny Green. Remember he did that, kicked it out to Danny Green, and Danny Green shoots the 3. it doesn't go in, whatever the case would be. And people were ripping LeBron that year they won the championship. They were ripping LeBron.
Hell, they used to rip him in Cleveland when
Right.
he passed the ball.
Yeah.
Right. But I want us to rip Jason Tatum the same way, because Jason Tatum is supposed to be this elite scorer. He's supposed to be this superstar. People used to compare him to Luka Doncic, and I used to scoff and laugh as a Boston Celtics fan for it. But what I'm saying is, in that moment, your team needed you the most. Mind you, he scores the layup. Guess what, guys? Overtime again. It's overtime again. That's what would have happened. It's not like they needed a three-point shot. And listen, I can appreciate going for, I guess, the win to some extent. But in that moment, when you were being aggressive throughout the entire second half of the game and said, you know what, I'm Jason freaking Tatum. I'm going to make these shots. I'm going to put the onus on me. He decided to pass it up. And guess what? Him being cautious, him being scared, him being unlike Mamba, it cost the Celtics a game. I'm pissed about it because the Celtics were the better team. This should not be a series right now. It should not be a series right now. The Celtics should be up 3-1, and we should be talking about the Celtics packing their bags the next game. That's what we should be talking about. But they did the exact same damn thing with the Atlanta Hawks. Guess what? They get into these games where they make them closer than what they have to be. So you see the question posed on today's show. Is it make or break for the Celtics? 100% it is. Because guess what? If this team right here can't get the job done, can't even get back to the finals, what does the future look like? You had Jaylen Brown's name tossed around in rumors. You got Jaylen Brown not showing up in the fourth quarter, not showing up in overtime. How many times can you say, run it back, run it back, run it back, run it back? Are we going to be like the 76ers and say, trust the process? Or are we going to be like the Celtics, what they say with those dumbass shirts they have right now, job's not finished, or complete the mission? Well, like I don't know. I have questions about Joe Mazzulla. And down the stretch, Evan, he's like, oh, I like to have 2 timeouts. I like to have 2 timeouts. Those timeouts can't save you. Those timeouts, you're better off utilizing them.
Use them in high leverage situations. Don't save them for an opportunity that might not come.
Listen, people spoke so highly about him when he got this job, when he took over for Ime. The fact of the matter is, I'm not seeing what people are seeing in Joe Mazzulla personally as the head coach of the Boston Celtics. I'm not seeing it. And Daniel lives with me. We live together. I really rage about this dude every single game. His inexperience as a coach is showing. It's showing, and it's showing through and through. I hate to be that guy. I hate to be passionate. I hate to be annoyed. But you know what? I'm damn tired of Joe Mazzulla. I'm damn tired of us talking about, oh, this is a game where the Celtics could have had. I'm tired of having to lean on role players to do stars' job. I'm tired of, oh, the Celtics, they could do it. Oh, they have the potential to do. No, show me that you do. At some point, we got to stop saying, oh, they can, or they will. At some point, if it ain't going to work, it ain't going to work. You're going to have to blow it up. So guess what? I'm probably in favor at this point of moving on from Jaylen Brown if they don't get the job done this year. For real. To go missing like that in a big game in the fourth quarter. And he was cooking the 76ers. The 76ers have nobody to guard Jaylen Brown, and he went missing in the moment where the Celtics needed him most. He's like Batman. In the moment where they needed him most, Jaylen Brown went missing. Where's the outcry for that? Or is it, oh, well, we're going back to Boston? What? I digress. Daniel, what are your thoughts?
I agree with you. I think that the Jaylen Brown thing is this team, this is their last shot. If they don't win the championship, which is why I'm still holding hope, obviously. I'm a Celtics fan. I've got optimism. But at the end of the day, and it sucks that we have to compare other teams, but if Devin Booker can do it, if Nikola Jokic can do it, if Kevin Durant can do it, if they can take their team down the stretch in the fourth quarter, why can't Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown do it? So that's my thought process. I hate comparing other teams, but stars show up in the biggest moments. Devin Booker is, now a star because of what he's doing. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown need to show up when it matters.
Do you know what they said about Jason Tatum down the stretch of this game? Oh, I was watching. They said, "Oh my God, Jason Tatum, his basketball IQ is Harvard level." That's what they said. That's what the announcers were literally raving about that. His basketball IQ is Harvard level. He's the smartest, one of the smartest basketball players in the NBA. He just always makes the right decision on the basketball court. Was that the right decision, Cotton? Was that
Was dribbling the clock all the way down the right decision at
Passing
the
the
end?
ball.
We already talked about why the math doesn't work. That's not analytics, by the way. That's just math. Like, that's just basic math. You want 2 shots at the ball. Like, you want 2 shots to keep that game going.
It just sucks because they have all the damn talent in the world, and we've been hearing it for so long. Oh, this could be the year. This could be the year. This could be the year. This could, and it's like brilliant adjustment, right? Jaylen Brown went on James Harden, but to me, I think that there's a lot of factors that play into this. I think the referees were egregious in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they have. If you're gonna listen, I understand letting them be aggressive to some degree as well. But the way Joel Embiid and James Harden were actively getting to the line and not even really attempting to be aggressive, it was just, it's frustrating. I don't know. This is the one time where I'm just at a loss. So, Jules, what are your thoughts? Do you have anything else you want to further add? I'm not going to come on here and ridicule your Cavaliers. I have nothing to say.
At least y'all made it further. But I feel the frustrations with coaches and their decision making too as well. Trust me. I'm not going to talk about the Cavs. I've already talked about them enough. But yeah. But I don't know. I still have faith. Like Daniel said, I'm not a Celtics fan. I'm like a hater. But I have faith. You can't afford those mistakes and then be praised for your high basketball IQ. It just doesn't add up.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying that just tosses them in the trash or anything, but I just don't understand passing it there. I don't understand holding the ball at half court as long as he did. Go to the basket. And like Evan said, I would rather have a second opportunity than only one.
Mm-hmm.
Worst case scenario, you miss a shot, you foul them, you will have more time, but they didn't even have time. They didn't execute. That's what happened.
You got to start playing like the better team. You are the better team. It's time to start playing. And let's be honest, like across the Eastern Conference, Heat and Knicks, you're coming out the favorite. Whoever comes out of this series is most likely going to be favored in this championship. So you need to start playing like you want to be that team. You want to be the team representing from the Eastern Conference. Because right now, like you said, the aggression's not there. They're complacent. They're just letting the game come to them, and they need to go out and attack.
I agree, man.
The Suns, real quick, the Suns would kill for the depth that the Celtics have.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Devin Booker and Kevin Durant right now, literally Nikola Jokic was on the bench saying, they've got 2 people. That's it. And how come the Celtics 2 people can't do it down the stretch? I've still got faith. They just need to take over. Like tomorrow, they need to each have 25, 30 plus points.
I'm willing to bet this is going to go to Game 7. I'm willing to bet this is going to go to this.
Don't be disparaging Landry Shamet, okay?
I'm willing to bet the Celtics are going to win Boston. 76 are going to win back home and it's going to go to 7 games. I just can already see it playing out that way. And it shouldn't have gotten to this point.
Mm-hmm.
It should not have gotten to this point. The same way the Atlanta Hawks game, a series shouldn't have gotten to that as far as it has. But enough about them damn Boston Celtics. Let's move on to LeBron James. There are some people that are saying LeBron James's legacy is on the line this series.
How?
I don't know how. You even had some talking head that's on ESPN with a pushback hairline saying, if LeBron loses in this series, then we should talk about replacing him on the NBA Mount Rushmore with Steph Curry. Listen, I respect Steph Curry. There's a lot of talk about Steph Curry. Steph Curry, is he the greatest point guard of all time? No, he's not. But that's another. He's probably the greatest scoring point guard of all time. He's definitely the greatest shooter of a point guard shooter from a point guard position of all time. But are we really doing this? And that's what I tweeted out when I saw that. Are we really talking about Steph Curry? Are we comparing Steph Curry to LeBron? Is LeBron's legacy that? Is
it so flimsy that this one instance is going to break it? Yeah,
that makes no sense. How would losing this negatively impact him that much?
I would argue it would do more for Stephen Curry.
Yeah, it's going to do more for
the fact that this is probably one of the weaker teams that he's had based on Andrew Wiggins' inconsistency. Klay Thompson is getting older and coming off the injury, so he's not quite what he was at another time. Jordan Poole has been struggling to be a plus out there for them most possessions. I mean, between all that, it's Draymond and Kevon Looney are the most consistent other players on the team right now. Steph is doing the most carrying he has, and I think there's more opportunity for him to cement his status here, whereas LeBron has gone and done it in multiple teams with different players, 3 different teams now, all the different cast of players and styles he's had around him, and that's the way he brings out the best in every single player, man, and attacks the game on defense, rebounding, playmaking. It's just, I don't know how we're actually having this conversation. Like, goddamn, if that's a sign that it's the off season, like, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I think that the amount of listen, you can have your opinions on who you think the GOAT is and all that stuff, right? But I think the disrespect that has really been given to LeBron's legacy and his greatness is
To act like anything he does is tarnished because
Yeah.
the Lakers might not go the distance this year is.
oh, they're going the distance. If you ask
I'm
me.
just saying, even if they didn't, to even say that 10 straight finals doesn't matter, rings with 3 different teams doesn't matter. The fact that he has gone and made the most out of all these players, that he has broken these franchise records, that he has dominated in these all-time records that they have. Guys, it's hard to play that long in the NBA. If it was so easy, everybody would do it until they're 38 or 40. The money's great. The problem is that most people can't survive because, 1, they were not that dedicated to taking their body that seriously and their health. And 2, they did not work on their game to refine it to this point, guys. Like, think about the LeBron of old that he used to just barrel and truck people down going into the paint. That man spent 2 years working on his post game before he started debuting it. He was working with Hakeem Olajuwon. He saw this coming and said, I need something else for when my athleticism, when my physical talents start to fade. He's redeveloped his game in that way, and he's found other ways to score, other ways to be impactful. He can still use his size, but he doesn't have the explosiveness or the burst that he once did. But still, he's out there, I think, still with the highest scoring total of his career right now. He's finding other ways to do it. So to say that somehow failing in this, not just him, collectively, the Lakers failing to get past the Warriors this time is somehow going to tarnish his legacy is just it's BS, man. I'm putting it nice, but it's his bull. It is.
It's Hezbollah. No, yeah, I think that the disrespect for LeBron's career is it's getting a little out there. What are your thoughts, Jules? Anything
Yeah, I
else you
feel
wanna add
like
to that?
honestly, just going off of that, I feel like the disrespect just proves how much of a legacy he's gonna leave when he leaves.
Oh yeah,
You know, I just feel like it's the one topic the other time that we talked about.
Yeah.
It's going to
The
feel like the
disrespect,
bottom
it's like-
fell out of the NBA because
yeah.
there's literally been the last 20 damn years now almost that people have had LeBron, man. It's like when Brady the only difference is I think when LeBron tires, he's going to actually retire. He's not going to 30 minutes
Yeah.
later come out and be like, "Oh, well,
Just
maybe not,
kidding.
maybe yeah, I don't know. We're talking it out."
JK.
But I think I think the basketball world will stop.
oh yeah. I
Yeah,
agree with that.
teams would build super teams to try to beat LeBron. I mean,
Thank
come
you.
on.
Thank you, Jules.
Exactly.
Jules knows ball. That's what
I
she
know
does.
ball.
She knows ball. But here we go. If you guys haven't done so already, give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so. We have a goal. We're trying to reach a 5K. We're so close. We appreciate you guys' support that you guys give us each and every single week. I want to keep the conversation rolling on our last NBA topic, and I want to talk about stars going missing. We've touched briefly on it, but now it's time to really dive into it. Let's talk about stars going missing. And I'm looking at the softest big man in the NBA. He goes by the name of Anthony Davis.
Thought you were about to say DeAndre Ayton.
I was a little
I don't
scared.
even-
I don't think you hold him in high enough regard that you would
He's not
consider
even
that.
worth my time talking about. He's not.
He had
honest.
2 M1s the other day, and I about lost my mind. So where did this DeAndre Ayton come from?
I have no idea. I guess he got upset that Jock Londale was taking his
Giving him the
minutes.
business?
Yeah, taking his minutes. But no, let's talk about those stars going missing. We saw it with the Cavaliers.
I already knew that was coming. I
We
just go
saw
Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell.
Don't look over at this side of the pond, baby. Jimmy's doing his
Jimmy's
thing.
great. Jimmy's great.
Yeah.
Jimmy's great.
That's
Kyle
really
Lowry
nice.
doing great this playoffs too.
I wouldn't even consider Kyle Lowry a star anymore.
No,
I
not
consider him an
anymore.
aging veteran who you believe in,
Mhm.
but I don't even really believe in him that much.
I mean, but you look at what do you guys think is the reason why we're seeing so many quote unquote star players going missing in the big moment? Julius Randle missing.
I feel like there's a bit of injury element with Julius Randle and Joel Embiid where they're not quite healthy, but at the same time, this is the NBA and you're playing these games constantly, and not anybody is really going to be 100% right now. We know Jimmy's dealing with a couple ailments. He's still doing his thing. We know LeBron is still doing his thing. Steph is still doing his thing. I think this is where at the highest level of basketball, it's easy to see during the regular season and say, these guys are beating up on everybody. These guys are dominating every single night, most of the nights, 5 out of 6 games, whatever stretch you want to put on it. They disappear 1 or 2 out of 10, and everybody's like, wow, they're really doing well in the regular season. But again, the playoffs are where everything is cranked up a notch, right? Coaches are dissecting the film and literally dismantling their offensive or defensive philosophies to attack you in very specific ways to force you to be uncomfortable, to do things that you are not good at. And you have to have answers for that.
Right.
You have to put in the work that guys like Steph Curry, like LeBron have put in to be able to dominate these games night in, night out when they matter. Because remember, we saw LeBron disappear in the Mavericks series a little bit at times.
Yeah.
That's when he went back and said, I need something else. And he started grinding to add to his offensive repertoire. This is where you see what separates real stars from the people who just have star power.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is all stars, right? Popularity. Good in the regular season when people are not literally going, how do we make Anthony Davis uncomfortable? Because in the regular season, it's let's play our brand of basketball. But in the playoffs, it's I'm going to shove you off your spot and get in your face and make you do what you don't want to do. And what happens then? And I think that's when you separate who the real stars are. If you want to call them the elite players in the NBA, call them the elites, but star is thrown away a bit much.
But you know what, Jules and Ev and Daniel, that doesn't just happen in the NBA. It also happens right in our own backyard, right in street pickup ball. There are times where people shrink in games, right, Evan?
Oh, I wouldn't know.
Where they start missing 3-point shots after 3-point shots.
What's that like? I ain't never missed.
There are times where quote unquote scorers will call themselves going to the cup and then get batted down 4 times consecutively.
Are we talking about somebody
There's
in the
also
room right
times
now?
where
He's definitely throwing shade behind the camera. That ain't
Someone's
here.
throwing
There's
shade.
also times where players who take quote unquote load management but still get hurt in the playoffs. So
You know what's funny? For as much as I don't hoop, I'm as much of a hooper as Evan is. And Evan had to say to me, Evan had the nerve to say to me, Jules, after I gave him work.
That shooting percentage was not even at 10%, ladies and gentlemen. That shooting percentage was not even 10.
In a basketball game. We played a basketball game. I hit him with the Kyle Anderson slow-mo mid-range shot. Everybody remembers it. I swatted his shot.
What about the other 26 shots?
Now listen to me. Every 3-point shooter has an off day. It's fine. But here's the fact of the matter is, I know Evan and Daniel know about stars, or I don't even want to call them that, not showing up in a basketball game. It's perfectly normal, right, Evan? I mean, I'm looking forward to playing you again in all seriousness. I really am. But the thing that grinded my gears the most about it at the end, after my team beat Evan and Daniel's, beat them, by the way.
Once out of a 3-game series.
Before someone's Achilles started acting up. I don't know whose, but
here's the thing. Evan's walking out, and I say, hey, man, I'm a hooper. And Evan says, nah, you're not a hooper. You're not a hooper.
I said I need to see more. I did not put any finite.
I think Jules will give you buckets.
I
think
can
Jules
guarantee I'll
would
give
give
everybody buckets in this room. Now we don't look at
Wow.
my high school tape.
Wow.
We don't look at my
Not
high
me.
school tape. That doesn't count. It's
Not
how
me.
long ago. I actually have confidence now, even though I haven't touched basketball in 2 years. But I'm like Kevin Love. I just stand out there in the 3-point line, and I
We
just
knew
hope
Kevin
it goes.
Love was coming in.
I
coming
hope it-
into the-
exactly.
Yeah, we knew it. We knew it.
I mean,
It's okay,
I
it's all right.
transitioned from a post player down low. Now I just stand at the 3-point line and jog up and down.
Jules says
Like I
Jules
know
knows
where
ball.
I'm going.
Jules
Jules
got that
knows
Malik
ball.
game.
You know what? I
Such
can't wait
a
till we.
half
We
game.
gotta
I
run
can't
this.
wait till we run
have
it
to
again.
run
Guess
it.
what? Listen, you gonna get me on my
We gonna play in an
LeBron
indoor
we
court, or
have
we
to
gonna play on a
invite-
We're gonna play
7-foot hoop
we're gonna
again?
play. We're gonna. No. You, sir. You know what? We're gonna listen.
I
we're
was
gonna-
can't
4 or
dribble,
6 from threes
but
on the
I'm
10-footer,
tall.
and you said, let's lower this. This is too high.
I'm gonna have Jules dunk on your head. How
I
about
can't dunk. I'm a woman, and I'm 5'11", and I'm not athletic anymore. Unfortunately, I need to work on that. But
that? Jules, you're supposed to talk trash. You're supposed
Oh,
to have
yeah.
my back here.
I won Athlete of the Year in 2018
There we go.
Talk your talk.
Really?
at a school. Yeah, I graduated with 60 people, so
Well, it doesn't
won
matter.
60
It don't matter. It does not matter.
I
You're
Big
didn't
still
fish
do
in a
much
small pond,
basketball,
baby.
but softball, on the other hand, I have all the confidence in the world that I could strike out anyone I want to.
At least listen.
Still.
At least you don't go sit at the 3-point line and just chuck up threes.
I mean,
and
I
miss,
do that,
right?
Who
but
does
I
that?
can also I have some good post moves. Got the up and under.
Evan's gonna be on fire next time we play basketball. I can't wait.
Can't wait to play on a 10-foot hoop
Can
again,
I
man.
come? I'm gonna.
Yo,
I
you
wanna come
can,
watch.
100%. We'll make this happen.
Or I'll play.
100%. I'm gonna dunk on and watch. But that's a
Is there a trampoline somewhere in there? Like, what's...
Are you lowering the rim? Is it a little Tykes
we'll
basketball?
lower the rim. We'll lower the rim. But moving on. Oh man, this is great. Simone says, "I'm so ready to see this matchup."
I want
Oh my
to join. Who's
gosh.
recruiting me?
Oh my god, I'm ready for this right here. I'm ready for this. Simone, Marissa, and Jules versus me, Evan, and Daniel.
Whoa,
Be-
whoa!
Hooper.
I'm all
I
about
think Simone
gender
just got
equality,
roped
but,
into
like, at
something
the
she was
same
not
time.
prepared
He's like, I'm not balling. We want to keep the conversation rolling. I got his competitive juices flowing now. You guys just see the look
I'm
that
a-
he's giving
yeah.
me right
Oh,
now.
I'm
I'm,
competitive.
I'm ready, baby. Put me on that 10-footer. He saw me
I
stroke
talk
4 out of
trash
6,
Oh
and he
my
said,
God.
"Oh, this
I
ain't
saw
good."
you do nothing of. I've seen you do nothing of the sort. But want to keep the conversation rolling. Appreciate y'all. If you guys haven't done so, give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube
Malik's
channel.
favorite river is denial.
Oh, that's a good one.
You're so corny.
I got jokes, bro. I got
Are
jokes.
you a dad? Like you
Dad
dad jokes?
jokes.
Get out
I'm
of
a
here,
dad in
man.
spirit.
My
My
mouth
spirit
is
animal is
touching
like
this
a
mic right
45-year-old man in cargo shorts.
Oh my god, man. Anyway, it's time to move on to my favorite topic of today.
Oh God.
NFL sleeper teams that people are not talking about. If you guys are watching this live, if you guys can come over to the YouTube channel, I don't know if you guys are watching on the Twitter right now, but for the Twitter comments don't pop up. So make sure you guys go head on over to the YouTube channel and comment below. Comment below your NFL sleeper teams and why. I'd love to discuss them right now. And that's what we're going to get into. I want to hear from you, your NFL sleeper teams that people are talking about, but maybe not talking about enough, or teams that nobody is talking about at all. Jules, you're going to kick this off.
Okay. I may get roasted for this, but I feel like I'm not saying they're gonna go on a deep playoff run. I just feel like no one's talking about the Chicago Bears because no one wants to.
Woo!
I think Justin Fields, I think they built a good O-line for him, which was a problem last year, and they got some defensive help, and he has some weapons now for wide receivers. You got Chase Claypool. I mean, obviously they had him. DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney. Like they've got people. I'm not saying they're great. I'm saying I think they could surprise some people. Because what they went like they had 4 3-1s last year or something. But I feel like they were like not that okay. They were competitive with like the better teams in the league. The Bills. I believe that was a competitive game for them. I'm not saying they're good.
I'm not-
just
no, no,
saying-
I'm
No,
not even saying-
Jules is right. Jules is
Jules-
right.
Jules
I
is-
think
Jules is
they're
spit-
building
Jules-
around Justin Fields.
Jules, you are spitting right now, but here's the one
Oh, no.
question I have for you. Where you lost me at is you said Chase Claypool was a weapon.
No, well, he has more weapons. I said they
He's
already
something.
had
He's something.
Chase Claypool. I'm not
He
saying
is
is
one
a weapon.
of Justin Fields' weapons.
Yeah,
yes.
he's one of them. I didn't mean to lead off
He's
with
something.
him. There's somebody that I already had, and then I added the other two.
I do love DJ Moore. I do.
I do
I
like
love
that
DJ Moore, too.
exactly.
I'm looking right at that defense. You know who Andrew Billings playing for that defensive line? DeMarcus Walker. paid the heck out of TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds both, which, I mean, hey, you're trying to get good talent. We talked about them like the Falcons. You got a lot of cap space. You overspend to try and get good players in the room. We know Eddie Jackson has been good, starting to kind of trail off a little bit. I think there's still some work that needs to be done overall on that defense. The offense, they definitely made a great move with getting DJ Moore. Darnell Mooney is a nice complementary piece. Doesn't need to be that number one receiver. Glad to see that load taken off of him. Claypool is going to be that kind of move piece that you hope to get a couple catches out of that are bigger splashes. But I think there's work that still needs to be done on that offensive line. Like Tevin Jenkins is a question mark with his injuries and inexperience so far. I like Nate Davis and Darnell Wright. You remade the right side of that line. There's still work to be done, but they're definitely in a better spot, much better spot than they were maybe last year. So I think that's good. My team, actually, which I know is not that anybody's not talking about them, but I look at the NFC and I say, okay, we've got the Eagles, we've got the Niners. Who else is out there? Who is going to be that other team? Because I feel like you could name the AFC teams 1 through 6 and say, you know, obviously Ravens, Chiefs, Chargers, Bills, the Jets are in that equation. Obviously the Bengals are in that equation. You can name 7 teams off the top of your head, but as soon as you get past 49ers, Eagles, maybe Cowboys, you're like, it's kind of wide open for anybody to take.
That's
so
my thing.
my team is the team across the division there is the Detroit Lions, because I don't think the Bears are ready yet. I think the Bears are still a year or two away. They just got a brand new regime in there. They're cycling out their old players. They're getting in the new ones in the building that they think fit their scheme. And I know a lot of people are talking about the Lions, but I really just want to touch on them a little bit more. Obviously, we know that Jamal Williams was very consistent for them, while DeAndre Swift was not. I think adding David Montgomery, who was actually a pretty good runner in Chicago despite the O-line problems, and also adding Jahmyr Gibbs, who is an absolute weapon. We can talk about the draft capital spent on him all you want, but I think that he is going to be an absolute weapon for them, and a dynamic one at that. He's going to add some juice to their run game that they've been sorely missing. Their offensive line is still quality. And I think a lot of people would be surprised to know that Jared Goff actually ranked 6th in EPA per play weeks 1 through 18 last year. Now, this is Jimmy Garoppolo, we know, is an EPA king, right? So we look at the ADOT. His ADOT ranked, average depth of target, ranked 23rd out of 27, okay? Which means he's not throwing the ball down the field. He's getting easy throws. But the point is, he is finding the right place to go with the ball. Where is that? Clearly, it's short. It's the middle of the field. Enter Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta, 2.16 yards per route run, 7th among tight ends in college football last year. 20 broken tackles was the 5th most among tight ends in PFF's 9 years of grading prospects. Add that inside threat to a guy named Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is quietly one of the best receivers coming up in the NFL right now. 90.4 PFF grade last season, 3rd among receivers. Ranked 7th in yards after catch, yards per route run, and passer rating when targeted last season. This guy is a monster. And underneath in the middle of the field, averaging over 5 yards per catch on the yards after catch. You've got 2 deadly inside weapons with him now. You've got towers outside with Josh Reynolds and Marvin Jones, that when the underneath stuff isn't working, you got those play action shots with Jahmyr Gibbs in the backfield, play action deep to Marvin Jones or Josh Reynolds. Operate over the middle of the field, be solid with the run game, use that as your dynamic element, and play action deep shots to these guys on the outside. I think that is a recipe for that offensive line and that offense to have success. And then the defense too. We know what they had on the defensive line with Aiden Hutchinson coming along on his toward the end of his rookie year. Jack Campbell, adding that to the heart of their defense. They've struggled to have linebacker play since they thought they were pinning their hopes on Gerard Mayo, right? Their cornerback room was putrid last year. I understand that you're looking at guys that they added, Cameron Sutton, Emmanuel Mosley, solid corners, not going to blow you away. People you probably don't feel great about covering number 1 legit receivers out there, but you've got good safeties back there, addition of Brian Branch as well, who can help nullify those deep balls that they get hit with. And just to say, like, how much better they were than what the Lions were working with last season, Sutton and Mosley are about 70 overall PFF grade. What they got from their DBs last season, they had 4 cornerbacks with over 450 snaps last season, and all of them had less than a 55 PFF coverage grade, and all of them are off the team now. They have remade that room to where, is it the best? No. Is it the middle of the pack? Probably not, but it's not the worst anymore. And I think the defense still needs some development, but they've got pieces there that you can feel good about. And it's going to be carried by that offense, which I expect to dominate their division. The Vikings look weak. The Packers are figuring it out. The Bears still a year or two away. They are rebuilding. I think it's time for the Lions to take their spot and maybe take that 3rd, 4th, 5th spot in the playoffs come time. And they're going to be a hard out.
Man,
Wow.
that's a whole new. We need to have a segment on the show. Please note this. Where we just let Ed cook. 'Cause he just cooked. He just cooked. And I think everybody in the comment section sort of agrees with you. Certainly Marissa agrees with you. And I saw Daniel shaking his head, nodding his head.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with you.
I
too.
agree.
That was one of my.
I like, I mean, the Lions were one of my teams that I wanted
Yeah.
to talk about too, but not in depth really. Not like that.
No, he cooked. He
Yeah.
cooked. And not too often do people cook, but he just cooked.
Cook.
What does Walter White say? It's time to cook. No,
Mm.
stop. Jules, did you have a team in mind?
Like, I already said the Bears.
Yeah, but did you have another team in mind?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like for the
I'm-
AFC, it's so much more obvious.
I'm happy you didn't
There's-
have a team in mind.
yeah.
And I'm happy that Evan cooked because
Yeah.
now it's time to let Leak cook.
Yeah, it's
And
your
I'm gonna
turn.
cook
Y'all,
here.
y'all got the football talk.
Listen, everybody likes to talk about the Lions, and everybody mentions the Bears. Those are easy ones
no one
to
talks
kind
about
of go.
Bears.
Oh yeah, people are talking about the
They
Bears
are?
right now.
Okay, I'm not the only
Yeah.
one then. That makes me feel
Oh,
better.
I'm gonna cook right now. There's a team that I want to talk about. The New York Football Giants.
I don't know.
We need to talk more about
Fair.
the New York Football Giants. We do. That division, guess what? It to me is wide open. The things that I've heard coming out of there is that the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator they hired, they think that they were hired prematurely, right? There was a boatload. Now, listen, Philadelphia is, I'm talking about Philadelphia here when I'm saying this. Philadelphia has a boatload of talent still. They still have a boatload of talent. I think that I'm expecting to see their defense regress just a tad bit before they basically take an uptick next year. Like if you even heard what what's his face I forgot exactly who I was referring to, but they were pretty much talking about how I would think it was Darius Slay. He was talking about how, like, their defensive coordinator essentially he made no adjustments. It was really just strictly on the talent here. I think the New York Football Giants can shock a lot of people. I really do. I think the New York Football Giants are being slept on because of who they have as quarterback. But I don't believe in Daniel Jones, but I do believe in Brian Dable. And I believe in the job that he's doing as the head coach of the New York Football Giants. Needs to be talked about more. And we also need to talk about how the NFC East is always competitive, typically. I don't expect Jalen Hurts to have another season like the one he just had. I don't. I'm just being honest. I don't expect it. That's not for me to say that he's not a great quarterback or a good quarterback. I think he is a good quarterback. I think he was surrounded by an abundance of talent, and I just think that health and all these different circumstances sort of worked in their favor. And we all know, especially from our Cincinnati Bengals, you could be in the Super Bowl, and then the next year you can also be in the AFC Championship, and then health could be an issue down the stretch. I think that the NFC is getting stronger personally, and I don't think I don't. It's kind of hard to explain. Like on paper, you're looking at the Eagles and you're saying, "Oh, they look good," but I still think that they lost something with those coordinators. I still think that I'm expecting to see a step back regression defensively, and health is a big concern as well. Jalen Hurts was not healthy down the stretch for the Eagles, and they need him to be healthy in order to be able to put up the numbers that they have. Let's also talk about the fact that they lost their starting middle linebacker in TJ Edwards. Let's also talk about the fact that they lost one of their best guards in Isaac Samala. Like, these are hits. These are big blows to the Philadelphia Eagles. They needed these guys to sort of be healthy, to stay in the fold, and in order to give them a fighting chance, if you ask me. TJ Edwards, his leadership is not easily replaceable. And I think they're going to find that out in short order. I think Eagles fans are going to find that out out in short order. And I'm sure Philadelphia Eagles fans everywhere are probably cursing my name right now, saying, "You don't know what you talk about," and all that kind of stuff. And I get that. I get that. I get that it's easy to think that I'm just being Debbie Downer because you guys came off of a Super Bowl loss, and it has nothing to do with that. Actually, it has everything to do with I think the talent that you guys have lost, plus the coordinators that you've just lost. Listen, it's so hard to replace coordinators in the National Football League. It's so hard, and with hopes to capture that same magic. For that reason, that's why I like the Cincinnati Bengals this upcoming year to win a Super Bowl.
Can I touch on the Giants real quick?
Yeah.
I love that defense.
Yeah.
I love most of that defense. Let me say that, okay? That defensive line,
Mhm.
woo!
Oh, yeah.
They're deep, man. You're talking about Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence,
Mhm.
Ashawn Robinson, Azeez Ojulari for pass rushing downs, Kayvon Thibodeau.
People sleeping on Kayvon, man.
He really came alive toward the end of the season last year. I mean, that's just your pass rush, the cornerback room. Adoree Jackson, I feel like, is a little bit underrated as a corner sometimes. Deonte Banks is one of my favorite corners to add in the draft. So getting him is good. And then we know what Xavier McKinney has been since he's been post-injury, right? He was a heck of a prospect coming out, really versatile piece, and I think he's going to be good for them in that regard. I do look at the heart of that defense and worry a little bit about the linebacker room. Gerard Davis, who I meant to say earlier for the Lions, I accidentally said Gerard Mayo, former Patriots guy. Sorry about that. My correction there. Gerard Davis was the guy I was lamenting there for the Lions. So don't love to see him starting there in the linebacker spot. Malik, my only question or questions stem from the offensive side of the ball, because you talked about Daniel Jones having the career year, making the most out of himself. I feel like that's the peak, and I feel like they really limited what he could do in the passing game in an attempt to try and get the turnovers down, right? And reduce not just the interceptions or fumbles, but the potential interceptions, the turnover worthy plays, right? They're asking him to do a lot less, make a lot less, fewer reads, and say, hey, if you feel like you need to scramble, go.
Yeah.
My question with how far can this team go is when you play against a good defense, and you're bringing out Isaiah Hodgins, Darius Slayton, and Paris Campbell as your starting receivers. I know Darren Waller counts, but Darren Waller has really struggled to stay healthy, and there's a reason that he is a one-year deal before he can get cut. And it's because there's a lot of risk there. That's a lot to pin your hopes on for Darren Waller to basically be your number one receiver with Hodgins, Slayton, and Campbell filling in. So I have that concern with the offense. Do you have that same concern?
Sure, there's always concern. There's always concern. But
not with the Bengals offense, baby.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that. But I want to talk about the Giants for a second. The Giants is something that I love that's not being talked about enough. They went out and they drafted Jalen Hyatt. Jalen Hyatt is going to allow that offense to open up.
I think Jalen Hyatt's overrated, man.
He might be, but his speed isn't.
No.
So hear me out. Hear me out. He might be, but his speed isn't. And guess what? A lot like the video game we used to play growing up, Evan, need for speed. Every offense in the NFL has one, right? And the fact of the matter is having a guy like Jalen Hyatt on the field will ultimately help with Daniel Jones's game. Let me explain to you why. You understand.
Are they going to go 4 wide receiver sets? Because you're not bumping Darius Slayton out of the slot.
I think you're going to see very similar to what you see Josh Allen do. Obviously, I said this a while ago, and I was ridiculed and I was laughed at. Daniel Jones, to me, is a very poor man's Josh Allen. Very poor man's Josh Allen. They both have similar skill sets. They both can run. They both have big arms, right? Jalen Hyatt can blow the top off the defense. You can send him on a vertical.
That's the only thing you can send him on.
Right. But hear me out.
And he better not get pressed.
But that will also open up things for people like Darren Waller. I think what I think he's doing is I think he's trying to build a very similar offense to the Buffalo Bills, essentially. He's trying to have a guy that can stretch the field, right? Now, Stephon Diggs, I don't know if he's as fast as Jalen Hyatt. He might.
No, I don't think so.
But you got Jalen Hyatt who can stretch the field. You got Slayton still in the fold. You got Paris Campbell who also can stretch the field, right? So they're obviously
He's more of that big slot kind of guy.
Paris Campbell can stretch the field though. We saw him do it with the Colts.
That's the thing though, is if you're saying I got to believe in this offense because Jalen Hyatt's going to run fast in a straight line, like
not just that, but their goal is to get clear the box for a guy like
But
Saquon
aren't there
Barkley.
guys you can get like this all the time? Just
listen,
guys with 4.3
listen to me.
speed,
I'm
4.4 speed. that you
agreeing
just-
with you, but they obviously
Right.
saw something in Jalen Hyatt to say,
Mhm.
that guy could help take the top of our offense. So then you look at a guy like Saquon Barkley, who can probably, be able to maneuver and get more yardage out of this situation. Also, let's not discount Daniel Jones's running ability. Remember, you have to ask yourself this question: is the Giants' wide receiver room better this year than it was last year? And I think the answer to that question is yes, it is.
If Darren Waller's
It's-
healthy, I say yes.
Yes, it's better. It's even Kenny Galladay got
I'm not
released,
trying.
right?
I'm not trying. Well, I'm not just looking at him.
Well,
I have high
and-
regard for Sterling Shepard when healthy. And if we're playing the Darren Waller healthy game, then I'm counting Sterling Shepard as being healthy too.
So what I'm saying is, if let's say health does play a factor in
Right.
that, let's say everybody's healthy in
Mm-hmm.
this Giants football team can go far. They made now. Let me preface by saying, by far, I mean back to the playoffs, which they can do. They made the playoffs last year.
Mhm.
They upset the Minnesota Vikings, who should always be on fraud watch as long as Kirk Cousins is the quarterback. But the fact of the matter is, I do think that we should be talking more about the Giants. I do.
And I agree that you
yeah.
said Daniel Jones running element,
Yes.
leaning into that more,
Yes.
being able to build an offense around that, not just saying scramble more when you see man coverage or you see
Yeah.
the open field, just take the 8 yards and slide down or the 6
He's a
yards and
very
slide down.
underrated scrambler.
He's very good at quickly coming off that read and saying, I'm going to go now because
Yes.
he's been given that green light.
Yes.
And I think that, as well as incorporating him into the structured part of the offense, has definitely helped him to reach his game. But it's also, I think that does more for Saquon Barkley than putting Jalen Hyatt in there, because right now,
But he's just an added element. He's just a distraction.
but that's the thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. If I'm looking at an NFL team, or if I'm an NFL defensive coordinator and I'm
Mhm.
playing the Giants and I say, Jalen Hyatt's coming out on the field, I'm not telling my guys to back up. I'm not telling my guys to open up the box and to come off and to really be concerned about that, because I know what Jalen Hyatt's probably going to be doing. It's the clear out route. At the same time, I feel like that defensive coordinator has to respect Daniel Jones' running ability. The
Yes.
defensive ends who are supposed to be playing contain, who want to crash when they try and get Saquon
Right.
Barkley, who's a quick, athletic guy and tough to bring down, getting them to bite on that action, to hesitate even, to wonder, oh, is Daniel going to keep this? That extra little split second gives Saquon more daylight. And we've seen this when we look at running quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson, all of his running backs average 5 yards a carry. Gus Edwards is averaging 5 yards a carry. Josh Dobbins, all these guys who've been cycled through here look good. And the reason is because you're worried about this run threat. When we looked at running backs with RG3, that running ability, when you have it designed into your offense, not just the scramble ability, but you have true design runs for your quarterback, we see the yards per attempt drastically increase for running backs, sometimes 10, 20%. They go from 4 yards a carry to 5 yards a carry, just because people have to hesitate that extra second, and it keeps the lanes open a little more, keeps the traffic out. And I think that does a lot more for the offense than saying Jalen Hyatt. I hope for the Giants that he can find a way to develop more, but there's a reason that people said, oh, well, he might be, fringe first rounder, and he fell as far as he did. And it's because the NFL looks at him and goes, dude, you ran vertical routes from the slot with no press, like all the time. That was your bread and butter, 90% of what you're doing. We got to figure it out. And that's not to say maybe he can't do more, but that's the problem, is you're playing that guessing game coming out of that Tennessee offense. It's much like the Ole Miss offense, where things are manufactured. They find ways to do that, and it's kind of a gimmicky offense, but it works in college because you're a superior athlete.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
If there's one guy that if there's one guy that I would lean on to be able to help unlock Jalen Hyatt's game, it's Brian Dable.
I think Brian Dable will find a role for him. It will
That's
be
what I
up
mean.
to them as well as Jalen Hyatt to develop more in terms of, you are going to get pressed in the NFL. You've got to have a tool or just a way to beat that. You need to get a more developed route tree. I know you weren't asked to do it. You have the athletic ability to do it. Now it's going to be developing that route tree a little more. And I think that's possible. But again, that's a bit of a dice roll.
Keeping it going with sleepers. Are the Chargers sleepers, guys?
I don't think so, because they've had so much hype over the last couple of years, but at the same time, they've been that team that kind of falls flat due to injuries, due to stagnation. They had the offensive coordinator issues where, again, you've got one of the guys with a howitzer for an arm, and you've got one of the lowest ADOTs in the NFL. You're treating him like he's Drew Brees. You're treating him like he's these other quarterbacks who don't have that precision, that ability, because Justin Herbert doesn't just have the arm strength. He has the processing and understanding to know where to go with it at the same time.
Yeah.
He's not just, oh, I'm late and I see him come open. He's anticipating.
Right.
He's not just throwing to the open guy. He is throwing open guys.
Right.
I just, it's tough, man, because you see that they're like the Celtics, where they've been crowned as one of those good teams every single year. They're one of everyone's favorite playoff teams.
Relax.
But then
Relax over there.
that might be disrespectful to the as
Relax.
injuries
That's
haven't quite hit the
disrespectful to
Celtics as
Celtics.
much, have they? But then what's their excuse? Ooh, sorry, didn't mean to go
Oof.
there.
Sorry. Heat haven't done anything since.
It's all right. Hey, they're out there with scrubs looking better than other
was gonna
teams
say
are
that,
with
or at least
multiple
winning.
stars. But hey,
Wipe
that's
the floor
fine.
with your team will be based
We'll
in the
see. We'll see.
playoffs.
We'll see.
We will
We'll
wipe
see.
and we're going.
What
I'm
happened
going
last
with the
time?
We're gonna go to
Heat,
Was it
man.
you guys in the finals
know
for
what?
the?
Let's-
That's beside the point. I can't remember. Someone remind me who played the Lakers in the bubble. But
and lost.
anyways,
Does it count?
So anyway, yeah, no, I don't think the Chargers qualify because they've been hyped up for what 3 years now.
Don't say that's not a sleeper. Everyone
Yeah, I
talks
don't-
about
yeah, I
them
don't
every
think,
year.
I think the Chargers are
They're overrated
Yeah.
every year.
They've got to prove it at this point.
Yeah.
They're one of the teams that everybody gets excited in the offseason for, but they've got to deliver, man. They got to deliver on this
a
on
lot
the
like
bigger
the
stage.
Cowboys, right? A lot like the Cowboys.
Yeah.
There's a question from Tyler here in the comment section. He says, I know we're talking about sleepers, but are the Jets the fourth team in the AFC? I think the Jets have a lot of hype around them.
Yeah, I feel like they have a lot of hype for getting Aaron Rodgers.
I feel like the Jets have a lot of hype around them. And you know what they say about teams we crown in the
Yeah.
offseason, they never pan out the way we
They,
think,
they,
right? I have a funny feeling that this Jets team is going to underperform. There, I said it. I have a funny feeling this Jets team is going to underperform.
I agree.
I think they will have their moments. They will have. Remember, we were looking at the Broncos. Well, I wasn't, but people were looking at the Broncos. Oh, Russell Wilson! Oh my God, Russell Wilson is a game changer. And yeah, he was a game changer, all right, and not in a positive light. But I'm not going to say Aaron Rodgers is going to fall off this year. But I think that I feel like at some point, I feel like they're just grabbing a lot of names right now.
And that's the thing. It's not even always the best names either.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, when you look at receivers who had, I think it was like 90 plus targets, it's like something like 40 some odd receivers. Alan Lazard is in the bottom 25%, bottom 20% in like all the key metrics, even in run blocking grade, which is supposed to be his bread and butter, what he does well. The Randall Cobb thing, we know why he got added, whether you're not really expecting him to contribute a ton, right? He was surprisingly good, but that's saying more about what you expect from him than what he produced. I really loved Elijah Moore. I really can't believe that they parted ways with him for low capital is what I believe. But we know Garrett Wilson is really freaking good, and especially when he had anybody who could accurately get the ball to him, it says a lot what he could do with Joe Flacco at this point in his career. I think Mecole Hardman, if he's healthy, can add that nice vertical element. But again, that's a big question mark with him. Kansas City didn't believe in him. Kansas City didn't want to take that chance on him, and many NFL teams didn't. There's a reason it took so long to sign him. We know that defense is star-studded. But defense is also one of the most inconsistent parts of the NFL. We've seen year to year, offense correlates very strongly. Defense can be very random. Think about the Jaguars defense with Blake Bortles that we thought was going to be one of the best defenses in the NFL for years. Immediately disappeared the next year. They were just average. And that's tough because a lot of secondary plays up and down. There's various reasons for that. We won't go into them there, but maybe some other day. But I definitely agree that on paper, this is a good team, but there's a lot of coalescing that has to happen. There's a lot of chemistry that has to be built, and there's a lot of identity that has to be found with this team. And I think there's going to be growing pains where the early part of the season, maybe people write them off and then they finish a little bit better toward the end of the season as they coalesce a bit. But I don't think in a division where you have the Bills, where you have the Dolphins, that you are afforded that luxury of that time in half of the season to just get it together. I don't think that you have that luxury. So I think that's a problem.
Let me pose this question to you guys. Is there any similarity between this team and the team that Tom Brady joined with the Buccaneers? Would you say the Buccaneers team was way better? Just because that's kind of how everybody's painting it out, right? Aaron Rodgers joins them. They go to the Super Bowl this year. What's you guys' thoughts on the difference?
I mean, the difference is
I think the wide receiver room was exceptionally
I mean,
better.
but
Chris
they- but-
Godwin, Mike Evans.
but here's the thing: they were already together.
Mhm.
They were together.
The
It seems
offensive
like
line was great.
there's one ball and a lot of mouths to feed.
Mhm.
A lot of mouths to feed. So if guys aren't getting the targets that they want, will they be disgruntled? Will they be unhappy? Will anybody request a trade especially if it isn't panning out the way it? Understand something. If this season doesn't start off, I'm talking about 4-0 perfect right out the gate.
Mhm.
Things could go downhill very, very fast, especially when you have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, who apparently is being painted in a negative light in terms of he isn't necessarily the best teammate. He doesn't always. Well, you know how Evan feels about Aaron Rodgers, but
Who?
yeah,
Yeah, who's that? I don't really like him.
but is Aaron Rodgers going to be the guy to be able to keep this team together if things go haywire? Because
Mhm.
Understand something, Tom
He's
Brady.
already a year out from retirement.
Well,
He already got one
but
foot
hear
out
me
the door.
Hear me out. Tom Brady came in with 6 rings. Right? Tom Brady came in with six rings, and he won the 7th ring
Mhm.
with the Buccaneers. So, like, him being looked at as is that accurate? Right? He has 7
Yeah.
rings, right?
Yeah, he does.
Like, he already had that level of respect in as the GOAT title. Aaron Rodgers hasn't seen a Super Bowl since what, 2009, 2010,
12, I think.
12.
I think it was 12.
Yeah,
Feels like an eternity ago.
back
at
when
this
he was
point.
doing you know what I mean? Like, at some point, if things do go haywire for the Jets, is Aaron Rodgers going to be the guy to lead them from the depths of hell?
Right.
No.
Is he
going to lift them up and
or
say,
is
"Hey,
he
I
going
got
to
this.
go
Let's
into
go."
a darkness retreat and say, "Hey, you know what? Whatever."
Go into the media and say, "You know what?
I don't like football
we're
anymore."
yeah, this is not going great." I
Like,
also look at that offensive line and I say, Dwayne Brown's 37.
Yeah.
I know Dwayne Brown's been really good in his career, but that's a 37-year-old left tackle.
I mean, there's already a
on.
weird relationship between Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson to begin with, obviously. Zach Wilson
Yeah.
probably already feels some type of way towards the coaching staff. So it's already a wonky situation when you look at it. I just don't. Tom Brady was the perfect man if things ever went haywire with the Buccaneers to lead the team astray and say, "Hey, guys, I've been a part of championships. I've led multiple teams to Super Bowls. I've lived in the Super Bowl. Understand something. If it wasn't for the New York Football Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles, guess what? Tom Brady would have, 10 rings. He lost the Giants twice, lost the Eagles once. He would have 10 rings. If it wasn't for those teams, he would have 10 rings. So he has a lot. He is almost like that LeBron impact. LeBron walks into a team, he's respected. He's respected already because of what he's accomplished and the years and the level in which he's done it. He's done that. If Aaron Rodgers walks to a team, no disrespect, but like, okay,
Yeah.
we've seen you do it one time, and all your teams have been bounced.
Mhm.
Now I got it. He's done it one time. And he's won multiple MVPs, but
That division hasn't been strong either.
his stigma coming into this is he's a selfish player.
Yeah.
That's what his
He has
stigma
no
was.
personality. He has
right.
a weird
A
personality.
weird personality.
honestly.
He's a selfish player. So if he shows he has to win his teammates over, right? He has to be consistent, and he has better hope that everything goes great with the Jets to start with. Because if it doesn't, damn, it could go bad fast. That's what I'm trying to get people to understand. Like, listen, it's not like Madden where you just grab a bunch of players,
Throw them
Fits
together
matter.
and your overall is great, and then
Right.
you coast to
Locker
10,
room
12
fits.
wins.
Locker room fits matters. They matter.
Mhm.
This isn't like 2K where you could turn off the relationship meter and conversations and tasks and all. You can't turn it off. These are real people we're dealing with.
Mhm.
So if Aaron Rodgers better keep that weirdness in Green Bay, and
Mhm.
because you're dealing with the New York media. And here's another thing: the New York media will chew him up and spit him
Yeah,
out
exactly.
quick. Like he's getting all this love and praise right now when he goes to the Knicks games and stuff like that. Let it go bad right now. Let it go. Let things go haywire and watch he walk in the stage. Aaron Rodgers, quarterback for the Jets. Boo! Go MSG booing you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
It'll
gets
happen.
real. It gets real fast. Let you have a bad game. And then is he going to go into darkness retreat? Is he going to say, "Hey, I want to retire"?
Yeah, he'll give up. That's the difference between him and Brady, besides multiple other things.
I mean,
'Cause
things
Tom Brady
are-
would rise above Aaron Rodgers. He won't do that. He'll go to his darkness retreat. or
Well, they said
whatever.
he likes to play the blame game. He likes
Yeah.
to deflect.
Point on other people.
So I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a little weird one. So I'm really curious to see how that one shakes out. I'm not going to jump on to this topic too much, but there's one team that I'm looking at that is a sleeper team, not for the reasons that you would think, obviously. And I'm like, oh, they're a sleeper team that can make it far. It's the Raiders. Sleeper because they're not going to do anything. I'm sleeping on this.
They're gonna sleep during the
all
games.
way. I don't know
Oh
what's
man,
going
my
on
face for
there.
a second was like,
I was
"Ooh."
also confused. I'm like,
No,
what did they do?
I don't know what the hell they like. What the plan was this offseason. You typically
Nothing.
don't part ways with your quarterback without having a plan in place. Maybe their plan is Caleb Williams. I genuinely don't know. I don't know. But now you have Devontae Adams on your team, and who's the quarterback?
Jimmy G.
Jimmy.
I mean, but come on.
That's
Mm.
it's basically like you're paying him like 25 million. That's like bottom tier.
No, but you understand what
backup
I'm
money.
saying though? Like what
But
like,
it's a 1-year plan. It's not
Yeah.
a solution. Like if in this point, what you're at a rebuild when you pushed all your chips to Devontae Adams.
that's crazy to me. Yeah.
Like you're out here signing Jacoby Myers. You got Hunter Renfrow who's going to be out of here soon. Like I don't understand it. Like
Yeah,
I
It's
don't know.
gonna be,
I just I don't
it's,
get it.
It's going to be interesting. But we want to thank you guys so much for joining us on the sit down with Malik Wright. We were going to touch on the Andrew Luck situation briefly. I mean,
You probably have a little bit more.
Yeah.
so there's rumors out there persisting that the Commanders reached out to reached out to Andrew Luck and his representatives about potential return. Let me just say this right now: that's been going on since Andrew Luck left. That has been going on.
People have been
since-
asking.
People have been.
Are you
inquiring and
amenable to
asking.
maybe coming back possibly
Yeah, that's
someday?
not. I don't think it's gonna happen.
No, he's 30.
Why would he?
He's going to be 34 this upcoming season. He walked away because of the injuries. I don't
Mhm.
think that's suddenly going to be better now that you're older.
No.
And Andrew Luck has been one of those people who had a very vivacious life outside of football. Has a lot of passions that he loves to do.
You are breaking out these
The
words-
lingo,
these
the
lingos
lexicon?
today, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
No,
I'm not
but
picking up what you're putting down.
no, I'm saying this man loves life. You know,
Of vivacious,
loves-
what'd you say?
very, very lively.
No, I know what that.
Some vitality. You know what I'm saying?
But how do you what is it?
Vivacious.
Vivacious.
Vivacious. That is
And
a
then you
cool
said
word.
something else before that too.
Oh, I don't know what I
You-
said
you-
on that
you-
one,
you
but
got
no.
me on a loop.
There's a lot of
He has a
words.
lot of interest outside of football,
Uh-huh.
and he's a very smart guy, very intelligent guy, and apparently he's just out there in the Bay Area just loving life.
He's
So
out
I
there
don't.
vibing.
He doesn't look like he's in football.
He doesn't need the
He does
money.
not- No.
He doesn't want to put himself through all that training
He's
and
like,
stuff.
"Fuck no,
Like,
either."
guys, thank you. Remember how I used to thought.
oh, no,
kinda
guys,
look like
I
him.
just
I'm messing with you.
Woo.
I'm messing with you.
look.
No.
We love Andrew, but he was a G Willikers guy. He just
Oh,
gorsh.
Gee golly. Oh man, nice job, buddy.
Yeah,
Remember
his
he
voice is
used to get hit and sacked. He's like, oh, nice, great job, man. But anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of the Sit Down with presented by First Star Logistics. Again, we are live from the First Star Logistics studio here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Also want to make mention, if you're looking to start your career as a broker, there's no better place than First Star Logistics. Trust me, talk with a lot of the brokers throughout the day. They love it here. They love life at First Star Logistics. So if you're looking to start your career, the link is down in the description. Tomorrow, Malik Wright is going to give another go at this whole
Woo!
baseball thing, right?
Oh,
I'm
man.
so
Jersey-
excited.
From Jersey,
You're a stronger
everybody
man than I.
was Yankees and Mets fans,
Uh,
and I've never been to a Mets game, but I'm actually going to a Reds game because the Reds are taking on the Mets. So I'm excited to see, I guess, what happens there. It's gonna be interesting. Jules has had a mission when she joined the show. She said, "You know what? I'm going to get you into baseball." And again, Jules, you have another opportunity. We had opening day together.
Yeah.
Opening day was fun. It was
It
fun.
is a lot of fun. I
was
can't
fun.
tell you that every game is like opening day, especially random Tuesday night in May. But I will tell you this: it's 3-2-1 night tomorrow. Are you ready to hear this? $3 beers, $2 hot dogs, and $1 ice cream. That's why you go on Tuesdays.
Well, luckily for me,
It's
I will
great.
be sitting in a spot where I won't have to do any of those things,
Same.
courtesy of First Star Logistics. Again, but I am excited to see the red legs.
The red
play,
leg.
and,
They're the best.
it'll be a fun little atmosphere there. Hopefully, we could shock the Mets.
Yeah.
and take
Well,
that
we're not
win.
going to talk about last night's game.
No, we're not.
No, but they didn't even play. Yeah.
But
At least they didn't show up, but it's fine.
but excited for the game tomorrow. Want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Sit Down with Malik Wright. We'll be back tomorrow for the Right Bet presented by First Star Logistics and sponsored by the official sportsbook betting partner of the show, Betfred Sportsbook. We'll be back Wednesday, 7 p.m. for State of the Jungle, a show for all Bengals fans as we look ahead towards the Bengals schedule release and get all jazzed up about that. If you guys haven't done so already, give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we will see you next time on the Sit Down.